I'm Julie Thomas, and I am the Director of Bereavement Services at Halcyon Hospice. So I teach within hospice people who are being trained for doing grief work or hospice work, and I love doing teaching outside of that as well. So it's been really lovely to work with the students at EBI. I'm so happy that you have this as a module, that EBI has this as a module, because most of the world does not focus around this experience, and it's not even part of training with professional counselors or in a lot of programs. And so to have this be a 2-day in-depth kind of experiential module, to be able to really deepen into what that is, and not just understanding it on the surface, but to understand it from a real personal standpoint, but also going to that depth. It's a value working with anybody who the students are going to be working with, because grief is kind of a big foundation of a lot of that. My focus is mostly around really some core components of understanding what loss is and all the different kinds of losses, not just for their clients or the folks that they're working with, but also with themselves, because it's a really huge piece of this work, is to have that self-awareness in what you bring and how you bring that to this work. So, it's a lot of information about the grief process. There's always been an opportunity to reflect on their own grief process, their own connection and awareness of how that lives in themselves, how they bring themselves to being a coach and to being in a support kind of position with someone, and also getting a chance to practice it. So getting a chance to be on the other side, and each have an opportunity of what it's like to sit in the seat of someone who is grieving, and maybe what that's like to be talking to someone, and also be on the side of like, what does it feel like to hold that space, and to listen, and to feel uncomfortable, and to want to fix it, and to figure out how to be present, and how to use their self-care, and their hopefully some pinpoint interventions that we talked about in the very beginning of how you take care of yourself in those moments when somebody's speaking in a way that is that is intense or hard or challenging. There's so much metaphor in nature in general, but so much metaphor around dying and the cycle of life, and restoration and rejuvenation, and how that informs all transformative and transitional kind of processes. Using nature to build altars, to have remembrances, to let go of things, to call in ways that the things that you're going to hold on to, the things you're going to let go of, and using the elements to kind of represent those transformations, rites of passage, etc. So we did a medicine walk today, and had the students go out onto the earth and set an intention around a grief experience that has come up for them over the course of the week, to explore what attracts them, what draws them, or vice versa, and how that represents their loss and their grief. And they all brought back something from nature that spoke to them, and spoke of those stories of that discovery. Because there is such a rejection of hard feelings or difficult experiences, and because we're such a kind of death-denying society, it's not part of our everyday language. It's not part of how we're raised. I think people don't know what to do with it. And so we need ambassadors, is what I call it. Ambassadors who can be out there in the world, who not only have, a lot of ambassadors are the ones who have experienced it and come to that work. I know that's true for myself as well. It informs, your own losses, your own experience informs how you bring that back out into the world. But that we need people who say it's okay, and I will stay, I will be here. It is inevitable that it's going to touch into your own whether it's your own past losses, your own current losses, or your own fears of future losses, your own mortality, because we are human and we're all going to experience that whole range of those whole range of experiences. But learning how to be with someone on that level is so powerful and transformative that I think it opens up the possibility and allowing for more compassion in the world. Experience is the number one learning. I think there are some important things to be aware of about the grief process, but it's about being curious and listening to each individual human of what their experience is and not needing to change that.